Good afternoon, everyone. It's me, Jessica, your health fitness program manager from McLean, and I'm excited today to lead you through a yin yoga practice where we're really going to focus on stimulating our lymphatic system. So those are like the white blood cells, or what I'm talking about, that help us to fight off disease and create healing and promote all the goodness in our body. Starts from the feet up. So some of the postures that we're going to do today are going to be inversions that are going to help us to just encourage that blood flow to really move around. Mostly we're going to be staying pretty low to our mats though, but I definitely encourage you to have some blocks nearby to help you feel supported in some of the different asanas that we're going to be doing today. Just keeping an eye on the time. We're going to get started in 2 minutes in supported fish pose. So I want you to use a block, and you're going to place that block or some sort of a prop right up here at your upper back, because we're going to be working to find some opening and some lifting of our chests. All right, so dress comfortably. I went and put on a delightful tank top that I can tuck into my pants early so that I'll be ready for when we get into our down dog. It's coming up just a little bit, I promise. So we are going to find a little bit more movement today than our traditional yin practice, but still focus on creating that mental stillness and seeing where else you can relax your body. All right, so use your room spray, find those awesome lights, think about putting on some ambient music if it's an option, use the bathroom, do whatever you need to do so we can get started in just about 1 minute. Oopsie doodles. In our supported fish pose. So good. Okay, I lost my timer again. Very good at losing these timers. Jessica. Like, I have two. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yay! It's that magical time, y'all. So let's come on down to our mats. Let's bribe our birds. That's right. Let's bribe the birds, bribe the children. Bribe your friends and family. Give them some water. Give yourself a sip of water. Turn down the volume on my computer just so we don't have any additional interruptions. Oh, we're amazing. Let's do it. Okay, so coming into supported fish pose on the floor. For this opening posture, your legs can do whatever feels right. I'm gonna bring a pillow along to the party just in case my hair is not high enough. All right, so for this one, you're working to gently lower yourself down. Find that big opening lift of your chest. And remember, you can have something behind your head to keep your neck supported in this position. And I realize I can't see the timer at all. We're going to spend 4 minutes here. So I know this is a big posture to start out with. Take some time as you set yourself up to just notice where you're feeling tension in your body. And perhaps you invited in a little extra tension by coming into this reclined bound angle with this supported fish pose. Maybe you'll take a little bit of the tension away by changing the way that you have your lower body on the floor. Remember, you're just working to find what feels good. So take a couple breaths. Take this first minute to just adjust yourself as much as possible, and then work to come into your stillness, into those long, deep breaths. It's very possible, as you found this primary comfortable position, that you very quickly just notice the other parts of your body that are feeling tense. And I encourage you to start that scan from the top of your head. Really evaluate where there's extra tension and how you can use your breath, particularly your exhale, to work into those spaces. Can you bring your inhale in through your nose, nice and slow, just giving it a moment to warm up before it hits your lungs? And then whatever is most comfortable for you, either exhaling out through your nose or exhaling out through your mouth. Perhaps you have started to practice some ujjayi breathing, a slight constriction of your throat, made possible by pressing your tongue up onto the top of your roof of your mouth. It creates a slight snoring sensation. You might even notice that your slow, relaxed breath sounds like the roll of the ocean. I taped some candy on my door this week to wish my neighbors a happy and sweet new year, and I just heard someone take a piece off. It makes me feel so good. All right, we've got about 1 more minute right here. I want you to really think about relaxing into the prop that you have underneath of your back, finding a little bit of pressure into that upper body. Enjoying a little bit of self-myofascial release right here. Remember, in yin, on the most part, we're working to create as much stillness as possible in the postures. You should still notice a stretch, a noticeable stretch. It might not be super comfortable, but it should never feel painful. If you go from the point of a delightfully noticeable stretch to a stretch where your breath is limited or you're wincing, take a couple steps back. Find where you can continue to breathe deeply, slowly, and in a relaxed manner, and just work to bring that relaxation into your stretch. Take your last 3 breaths here in fish pose. We're going to keep our backs on the block. I'm going to guide you through slowly coming out of this posture. We're going to find a little bit of a neck release first. So take your time, move with intention. Go ahead, maybe even wiggle your fingers if you've been staying really still. Maybe open and close your fists just to wake up those extremities a little bit. And then we're going to make a nice little hammock at the back of our heads with our interlaced fingers. From there, draw that belly in slightly and pull your chin towards your chest. Your head is supported in this hammock you created. You can even gently, slowly turn your chin to your right ear, turn your chin to the left ear, getting a little bit more noticeable pressure into that upper back, a little bit more engagement of your abs, especially the more that you really tuck that chin in towards your chest. 1 more big breath here. I lost my notes. And then we're slowly going to lift ourselves up off of our prop. Jessica lost the class. Okay, I found it. Great. Take your time. Come on up to a seated position. Seated seated position of your choice, coming into Sukhasana myself, so easy pose. Take a moment to come into easy pose. If you notice your knees coming all the way up towards your ears, think about sitting yourself up on top of a prop to find a little bit more relaxation in your presumably tight hips. And if you need to, you can always extend those legs out in front of you. You're finding what feels good for you today, and remember, every day is different and every body is different, so what feels great for me might not feel as amazing for you. All right, let's take a big deep inhale and stretch all the way up towards the ceiling. And exhale, rain your fingertips down to your shoulders. Make sure those sit bones are ground with your mat. Find a gentle engagement of your abdominal core, drawing your belly button back towards your spine, and do your best to stack your ears on top of your shoulders, on top of your hips, so you're not overarching or finding too much rounding in your back right here. Length through the crown of your head. We're just going to make some shoulder circles. So inhaling those elbows together and up, and exhaling them back and down. We'll spend about 1 minute in this direction. Mind me as I grab the timer. So just move at the pace of your own breath. Remember, you're working to keep that breath nice and slow. If as you get through a couple times, you want to find a little bit more rounding of the back, getting your back involved, really just work to bring those elbows to kiss towards each other. Make sure that your sit bones stay grounded either on the floor or on the prop that you're sitting on for some nice support. 2 more times around in this direction. Next time elbows come up towards the sky. Get ready to change your breath. So this time we're going to inhale forward and down. Exhale back and up. Just make sure you're still breathing. If you found that you came back to the original breathing and shoulder circles, you're still moving those circles. You're still warming up that body. 3 more breaths. 2, 1. Awesome. Go ahead, allow one hand, or maybe both for a moment as we just chat for a second, to relax down towards your thighs. Just find the support wherever that one hand is going to lie. We're going to use our other hand to do a little bit of tapping. So I encourage you to use your pointer, maybe your middle finger, maybe even adding your ring finger. And we're going to come towards our sternum. If you guys have never heard of tapping before, I know it goes by another name, which of course is not coming to my mind right now. It's just a great way that some people really like to awaken different parts of their body, of some dormant energy that you have. So we're going to take a minute just tapping and stimulating our thalamus gland. While you're doing this, you might want to think and encourage all of the positive white blood cells and remind yourself that I am happy, I am healthy, I am whole, and consider just repeating that mantra to yourself. Come back to that slow breath. I am happy. I am healthy. I am whole. Let's take 2 more breaths right here. And on that next exhale, just relax that hand down. We'll take a minute just sitting here in Sukhasana. Feel free to close your eyes. Remember that if your eyes are moving, your mind is moving. So if you do decide to keep your eyes open, find one spot to just softly focus on. Come back to your slow breath. If you find that your thoughts are straying during our practice today, you can always come back to that same mantra that we just used, or just come back to the focus on the breath itself. All right, we're gonna take our time and move with intention. If you want, you can always just put your hands down and pull yourself forward. We're gonna come into tabletop. We'll spend 2 minutes just enjoying some cat-cow. So get your hands, palms underneath of your shoulders. Get your hips stacked on top of your knees. Push those hands, palms into the floor so that your elbows are locked, and work within those locked elbows to find as much of an arching of your back as you can while you're here in cow, and then a rounding as you switch over into cat. Feel free to take some shakes of your hips, some shimmies of your shoulders, whatever feels good for you. We're warming ourselves up. Next up, we're going to go for melting heart pose. So a bit of a chest opener. If melting heart pose feels too much for you, you always have the option to keep your hips a little closer towards your heels to do any variety of child's pose. Maybe you'll take this time right now. We've got 1 more minute to do some warm-ups into your wrists if they're feeling tight. Maybe you've been typing extra at the computer lately. Always so nice to just have a little bit of time to really just do what feels right for you. Just find some free movement. Awesome. So next up, we'll come into melting heart pose. You might want to use your prop again for some support, either under your chest or your belly. The more that you spread your hands out nice and wide, the easier that melting heart pose can be. The goal is to keep your hips stacked on top of your knees, but that might be a little too much for you. So if you need to, if that's too much in your chest and shoulders and you really want to work to get that chest down towards the floor, sending your hips back towards your heels can make it easier. Also remember, opening those hands a little bit wider can help. We're going to spend 3 minutes right here. So work to find that stillness again. Oh no, I didn't forget that, did I? No, okay, it's coming. All right. So you're trying to come into a stretch right now that you can continue to endure for the next 15 slow breaths / 3 minutes. So there's no need to be a hero. Don't come into something that's so intense to begin with that you find yourself fidgeting. Gonna move just so I can tell you to do that total body scan. It's hard to talk when your chest is down on the mat and your throat is stretched out in front of you. So work to find that stillness, find that relaxation. Did you come into a stretch that was so big that you noticed, now that I mention it, that your feet are lifting up off of the floor? And can you relax your feet into the floor and find that support of your knees down in the mat? So melting that lower body into the mat as much as you can. I know it's creating a really big stretch in that upper body. We're going to take 4 more breaths right here. And then slowly move with intention, maybe press into your hands to help bring your hips closer back towards your heels. We're gonna spend 1 minute in a nice child's pose to help really relax those shoulders. I want you to bring your hands all the way back towards your heels. Allow your head to relax down towards the floor and take any tension out of your shoulders. So really separating those shoulder blades, maybe the tips of your shoulders, even come closer towards the mat.
Work to make your big breath expand the back side of your body. Okay, take your time, bring your hands back underneath of your chest and shoulders, gently press yourself up. Next up, we're going to come into a big toe stretch or toe squat. So walk those toes under. You might even want to really bring your foot in and press it back behind you, or use your hand to help you to get that little baby toe involved as well. So working to get a little bit more of the balls of your feet towards the floor, and then ask you to take your time. We're going to lift ourselves up. So remember, big toe stretch can get really intense, really fast. We're working towards the idea of really sitting our hips, our glutes back on top of our heels. But if you need to be a little bit more forward, we've got a total of 3 minutes. We're already halfway through. In about 30 seconds, we're going to distract ourselves just a little bit by giving our lymph nodes and our armpits a gentle massage. So go ahead, let's start with the right armpit. So take your left hand, make a nice fist. Your right hand can do whatever it wants. Maybe relax on the opposite shoulder. And I just want you to massage in your armpit. Just move it around a little bit. Maybe you find some tense spots. Maybe you don't notice anything at all. Can you still work to relax your shoulders away from your ears? Sticking with that breath. I know that big toe stretch is getting intense. Remember, if you need to, you can always bring a little bit more weight into your knees. We're halfway through on this side. Whew. Oh, keep breathing, keep those big breaths happening. Make sure that you didn't come into a stretch that's so deep that you created extra tension in your back. So relax your back, relax your shoulders, relax your mind. Last 3, 2, 1. Take a moment, open those arms out nice and wide. Oof. And let's go ahead and bring a nice closed fist into our other armpit. Just give yourself some big massages. Less than a minute to go. I know your big toes might be screaming at you. Just come into your breath. Send those exhales there. Remember, we are working to create those noticeable stretches. Some are a little bit less comfortable than others. I promise we're gonna shake it out in just about 30 seconds. That's like 3 or 4 slow breaths. Nice armpit massage. Who would have thought? You know I love those self massages, y'all. All right, get ready for your last 2 breaths here. Don't cheat yourself. One more big inhale and exhale. All right, go ahead, bring your hands back down into tabletop. Untuck those toes. Take a full minute just to tap those feet out. Maybe a little bit of typewriter feet right and left. Just tapping those toes out onto the mat. All right, we got a big inversion coming up next. We're gonna spend another minute just sort of getting the spilkies out of our lower bodies. Coming up next is going to be our down dog. Do your best as we come into down dog not to mess with your costume. with whatever it is that you're wearing to class today, especially if you're home by yourself in a room alone. Your body is amazing. Look at all of the stretches and postures it can do. If your shirt wants to right up and remind you that it's there, enjoy it. Okay, so keep those hands, palms ground on the floor. Tuck those toes under once more. Go ahead, send your hips up towards the ceiling, and you can take a big, generous bending your knees if you need to. Go ahead and just pedal it out. One heel, then the other. Belly coming towards thighs, maybe pressing up on both toes at the same time. Opportunity. We got lots of inversion opportunities coming up. We got a big dangle coming up after this, so maybe you want to start warming up your neck again. A little tucking, untucking, shaking your head yes and no, left and right. Maybe find a little extra movement in those hips. So allowing your heels to fall to one side and then the other. Okay, take your time, either walk your feet towards your hands or your hands towards your feet. I recommend a somewhat narrow stance, so feet about hips width distance apart. We're going to come into a dangle now. So remember, you can take a big generous bend in your knee. You can grab your prop. Sometimes it feels nicer to have a little something that you can rest your hands or your forearms on as you come into a dangle. And you're allowed to enjoy some movement here, especially this first minute. Maybe once again pedaling your legs a little, so as one leg straightens, the other leg is bent. Working a little more into the hamstrings. The more that you have your hips up towards the ceiling, the more that you're going to feel a big stretch on the back of the legs. I encourage you to really take the tension out of your neck. So allow your head to hang heavy down towards the floor. Maybe you even make that hammock with your hands again to encourage a little bit more stretching down in a downward direction, but you're not pulling on your head. If that feels like a little bit too much weight, release your hands back down towards the floor. Grab hold of your opposite elbow. Let's come into our stillness here. We're going to be here for just over a minute. Enjoy these big breaths as we're working to open up those hamstrings, finding a stretch in the glute, maybe even the lower back. Keep your belly gently engaged in this forward fold to keep your back feeling good. You're equally distributing the weight through your feet, so it's not just in your heels. The balls of your feet are down on the floor as well. If you're finding that this dangle is not working for you, we're going to come back to it again today. I'm going to offer for you to consider a seated forward fold in the future, but I do appreciate that you did the best you could today. Just trying it out. All right. You can bring your hands to the floor, maybe come into a little bit of a half lift, finding length in your spine. We're just going to heel toe our feet out a little bit wider, maybe mat width distance apart or wider, and turn your toes to be at a 45-degree angle, because next we're going to sit down, bring the weight into your heels as we come into a squat. See if you can lift that chest up slightly. We're going to spend equal time here in this squat, which is 3 minutes. You're amazing. So either really hanging out here for the 3 minutes or using your prop. You can always place a block on the floor, and that can help you to get your glutes a little bit lower,
Oh, I just felt so much stimulation in my belly happen. I have my hands at my heart to help keep that chest open and lifted. See if you can apply equal pressure even to the outsides of your feet, especially if you're sitting on your prop. Remember, it's yin. There's so many yoga classes that we can participate in that don't encourage us to use props to help us get into our postures, but this is definitely not one of those classes. I encourage you to use whatever props help you to create the shapes. Remember, flexibility is something that we work towards. If we are hypermobile, it's important to really work towards using some strength to rein in that flexibility. Just like if we're really strong and tight, we want to add in some flexibility to increase that range of motion. So just because you're one doesn't mean that you're the other, and one is not better than the other. They're both important. It's a nice little marriage between the two. So continuing to either keep your eyes closed, which I know can challenge your balance. So finding that one spot to focus your eyes, continuing to stay, relaxing your breath can really help right here. If you're finding that this squat is too big of a challenge for you, then I encourage you to think towards the next time we do this of going for a butterfly, still getting a beautiful hip opener, but with a little bit more support. All right, so we've got about 30 seconds left right here. That's about 3 slow breaths. And then we're gonna lift ourselves back up and come back into that dangle. Remember, if dangle doesn't work for you, you just get to do a seated forward fold. So use that next exhale, bring your hands to the floor. Remember, you can have your hands on a prop, send those hips back up towards the ceiling, and then heel toe your feet closer together. If you're coming back into our second dangle of the day, maybe you can even relax your belly a little closer towards your thighs, find a little bit extra lengthening of your legs. And if you wanted to see what it looks like to do a seated forward fold, you can either have your legs crossed like this and just enjoy a forward fold, or a little more similarly, have your legs extended in front of you. If this is still too much pressure on the back of your legs, remember that sitting up on a prop can help to bring some relief into those hamstrings. And you can still find a gentle forward fold or even just a little bit of a lean forward. All right. You're doing awesome. We got 2 minutes left right here. So allow the tippy top of your head to come as close towards your mat, towards the floor as possible. No extra stress in that neck. Take your last 3 breaths here. Find that stillness, even if it's just for these 3 breaths. And then feel open to lifting yourself up into that half lift. Keeping that belly pulled in tight, finding some length through the spine as you heel toe your feet out as wide as you need to. Find that 45-degree angle so your heels are in and your toes are pointed out. And you slowly lower yourself down to come into your squat.
Remember, you're working to find stillness. You can have your hands on the floor if you want to. Maybe you're challenging yourself to not use your prop this second time around. But you're still working to find that stillness. So if you find yourself super fidgety without your prop, bring your prop back into the party. And remember, you can also just be in your seated butterfly for this one. Halfway through right now. I feel like my shirt's untucking, so I'm just gonna. But if your shirt's untucking and you're home by yourself and no one's gonna see down your pants, you just leave your shirt how it is. So you're really working to just sit that glute down as low as you can. This might feel super unnatural, but think about all the pictures of people that you see hanging out like this, hanging out at the bus stop. Kids pop this squat all the time. It's super easy. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, we're desk people. We're not used to it. We got 1 minute left. I'm gonna come into my prop for this last minute just to find that true stillness. Last 3 breaths right here. All right, if you're still in the squat, you can walk those hands forward. Ooh, you can take a moment, bring those knees to the mat. Shift your legs over to the side. We're gonna come onto our glutes and meet any of our yoga friends who are currently there. Take your time, keep a prop nearby. We're slowly gonna lower ourselves down onto our back. And as you get there, draw those knees in towards your chest. They can be open nice and wide. Feel free to rock gently side by side. Give yourself a nice massage of your lower back. Maybe a little in that mid back, maybe rolling over onto your hips. Just finding what feels good. Maybe drawing one knee a little closer in towards your chest and then the other. Excellent. All right, we're going to use those props again. We got 2 postures left before our final Savasana, right? Yeah. Next up is supported bridge pose. So go ahead, bring the soles of your feet back down towards the floor. Ground them with the mat. Go ahead, press into them. Lift yourselves up. Shoulders are still in contact with the mat. You're going to take a block or a towel if you have it and just place it at your lower back. Glutes can gently hang off of the block. Maybe you even want to be supported directly on your glutes today. I don't think that feels super awesome, but you know what? You're finding what feels right for your body. So your upper body, your shoulders, imagine just above where a bra strap would be. We've all seen them, whether you're wearing one or not. That area is nice and supported down on the mat. So upper shoulder blades, the back of the neck, allow those shoulders to relax. Even the tips of the shoulders coming closer to the mat. Your belly button might slowly start to sink towards your lower back. As you press your lower back into your mat, maybe you allow the focus to be a little bit more on your glutes hanging off on the other side, bringing a little stretch into your belly. right now, just focus on enjoying the full rising of your belly on your inhale and the slow deflate on the exhale. Make sure you're breathing all the way down to the bottom of your diaphragm. A full belly breath. 1 more minute right here. Okay, for our last active passive posture of the day, we're going to go for an inversion of the legs. So think of it as the legs up the wall without the wall. You might want to readjust your prop and bring it a little bit more to your sacrum. You can have your arms relaxed down on the floor. You know what? I like to do a little bit higher, and go ahead, send those legs up towards the ceiling. This one can also be really comfortable with just a little bit of a lift of a nice towel or a bolster. I just didn't want to make y'all jealous of my bolster use. All right, and then straighten your legs as much as feels good for you. We'll spend 1 minute here with stillness, and then we're gonna just work to make some circles with our ankles and open and close our toes. But taking a moment here in the stillness, just allowing that blood to drain from our feet down to our hearts. This is a great posture to do to really help you relax, because it does encourage the blood flow to come back to our hearts and to our heads, the head being the lowest part of the body on the floor right now. It's a great way to unwind at the end of the day, particularly before bed. Remember, it's normal to feel some shaking or trembling. This is one of the first postures that we've done today where I really feel some slight trembles throughout my whole leg happening. You probably don't see them at all, but I just notice the nerves firing and everything just waking up. All right, with those legs still up towards the ceiling, go ahead and make some circles with your ankles. Enjoy any crunching or cracking that you might hear. Maybe opening and closing of those toes. If you've been circling your ankles in one direction, go ahead, circle them in the opposite direction. Maybe starting to get a little bit more of your legs involved too. Back to your slow breath. Keep the focus primarily on your breath still. Get in those last couple of twists and shakes. And then slowly, gently bring those feet back down to the floor, maybe one at a time. Ground them with your mat. Use your next big inhale to lift yourself up into bridge pose once more. Remove your prop from below you. Take your time, readjust your upper body as much as you need to. Maybe you want to keep those knees bent with your lower back glued onto the mat for your final savasana. Maybe you want to kick those legs all the way out in front of you. Do whatever feels right with your arms. Allow those heels to come in towards each other, your toes to fall open. As we come into our final savasana, can you believe that we've already enjoyed almost 42 minutes of movement together? I think it went really quickly. I hope you feel the same way. So we'll spend 2 minutes right here together in complete stillness and silence. As always, I encourage you, if you can stay longer than these 2 minutes, please do. Reminder that you are encouraged and welcome to continue this stillness and breath in your Savasana for as long as feels good. Definitely till you feel relaxed, just giving your body the opportunity to soak in all of the moving meditation that you just did. If you'd like to close out class together, take your time, make your way to a seated position, and I will meet you there.
Go ahead, bring your hands palms together in Namaskar with your thumbs touching on your sternum, and take a moment to tuck your chin to your chest as you bow to and honor yourself. Thank your body for everything it was able to do today. Thank your mind for deciding to come to class. And I thank you so much for coming and taking part. If you have any questions or concerns, I, as always, encourage you to reach out. Please let me know if you have any issues, anything that you're just trying to relax a little bit more, or someplace that you're carrying tension that we can stretch it out together. Till I see you again, or till you see me, please think good thoughts, speak good words, eat good foods, and do good deeds to nourish yourself from the inside and out. As you think about that, go ahead, bring your thumb up to your third eye, your drishti. Start to stretch those elbows up towards the ceiling. Lift your beautiful face and know that the light within me honors and sees the light within you. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste.